Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. This video is brought to you by First Detachment Nutrition. Battle tested, expert formulated. Use discount code AB10 at checkout for 10% off. All right, folks, Big Paul here today, and I'm going to talk about my 2023 contest prep cycle in preparation for the Masters USAs in Anaheim, California. I think it's November 18th, 19th, somewhere around there. It's right before Thanksgiving. I'm 2 weeks into my contest prep now, and I'm going to go over what my cycle looks like. This is just something that I do. I'm not saying that you should do this. I'm just a dumb bodybuilder. I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you what to do. We're going to dig into all this in just 1 second. Okie dokie, so pulling the curtain back, I'm going to be completely transparent with everybody. This is what a contest prep cycle looks like for a national competitor on a national stage. To be honest with you, this is pretty typical, maybe even a little bit on the conservative side for somebody who's going to be competing in a super heavyweight division. This is what I'm doing. I'm not saying this is what you should do. So this is just an example of what things are going to look like going into contest prep for me. Now keep in mind, none of this stuff, it's all a bit in flux, so it will react to how my body responds. So these doses may change as I go. Some things may be added, some things may not be in there, but this is sort of a general framework of how I typically do contest prep. So this year I started off coming into contest prep, just sort of a continuation of my off season cycle. I scaled it down a little bit. I think at one point I got up to 1,500 tests and 1,250 primo, or 1,200 primo, I think it was, which was too much. I backed it down quickly. I did not feel good on that dose. And where I settled in is at 1,000 milligrams of testosterone, 800 milligrams of primo. I'm just sort of continuing that into contest prep. Most of the time I take a cruise before contest prep, but my blood work checked out. I had almost, maybe even longer than a 4-month cruise this winter when my shoulder was hurt and I couldn't really train hard. So I just backed down to just TRT, really, even lower than TRT. I was down to 125 milligrams of testosterone a week. And I did that for almost 4 months. Yeah, it always makes me laugh because people say you can't maintain size on that. I pretty much stayed 280, 275 that whole time that I was on that for 4 months. I'm not saying that that would work long term. I definitely got a little softer. Body composition kind of went south. I didn't have the same fullness that you do when you're running a full load of gear, but I didn't lose a whole lot. What was really weird is my strength actually went up while I was on that cruise dose. I will say this, if I cruise again after this prep, I would not cruise on such a low dose. I felt like it was too low. I like it kind of like joints and everything were starting to hurt and ache. My blood work got worse, which was the weird part. Maybe because my diet wasn't as tight. That's probably what was going on. But my blood work was actually worse at the end of my 4-month cruise on 125 milligrams of testosterone, 2 units of GH, than it was at a month ago or so, running 1,500 milligrams of test and 1,000 milligrams or 1,200 milligrams of Primobolan, which is the weird part. Everything was better. I do feel better when I'm on cruise, just the reduced toxicity. I have noticed that my C-reactive protein will go up a bit when I'm on cycle for a long time. Sometimes it gets out of range. The C-reactive protein came back down to normal. That could be just the oils and the solvents in the gear or just the overall oxidative stress on the body. I don't know. Although this last blood work I had done, my C-reactive protein was in range running high doses. So who knows? Anyway, so starting off from probably really, I don't really start like dialing things up until about 12 weeks out. At 16 weeks out, it's just really a continuation of the off season. What I'll do is sort of tighten my diet up a little bit, add a little bit of cardio in, see if I can get some cheap weight loss without really doing a ton of cardio or dialing my food back too much or running a crap ton of gear, which I have been. I've been dropping a pound or two a week. I definitely am tightening up, and then at 12 weeks out, we'll start cranking the gas up. So right now I have it at 1,000 milligrams, 800 milligrams, and 10 units of HGH. It's actually not 10 units, just to be exact. It's 9.5. I'm running 5 units of UGL. Who knows how accurately that's dosed? In theory, it's 5 units. And I'm running 4.5 units of Serostim, so 9.5 units. I'm just rounding up to 10 because there's only so exact you can be with these measurements. I do 3 doses. I do morning, pre-workout, which I work out in the evening, and then I do a dose before bed. In the morning, it would be before fasted cardio. If I was doing fasted cardio, which I'm not yet, I'll probably pick that up here in a few weeks. And then at week 12, we start dialing the gas up. I had on here 0.5 milligram of anastrozole every other day, which I am not doing right now, so I'll take that out. I'll probably put that in at 12 weeks out. I just don't feel like I need it right now. My estrogen is sort of in line. Running the Primo with the testosterone. I have not had to run it anti-estrogen all off season, which people are perplexed at. But when you run Primo with it, I found you just don't need it. Estradiol was in the low 50s. And estradiol is cardio, renal, and neuroprotective, and I don't want to crush my estrogen until I have to. I have found, and there are some coaches that say you don't need to crush estrogen to get ripped. I don't get nasty shredded unless I bury my estrogen, but I'm going to try to save that for the very end of prep if possible. That's sort of the goal here. All right, so 12 weeks out, I'm going to swap out some of the Primo for Masteron. I'll put the Masteron in. My logic behind doing so is Masteron seems to harden me up a bit more. It's a bit more androgenic than in theory. You know, if you believe in the Hirschberg, I don't remember essays. I don't know how accurate they are, but it's in my experience, I have found that Masteron is a bit more androgenic than Primobolan. Primobolan is a bit more anabolic, and you get a harder look with Masteron. So I will start swapping that out around week 12. At week 10, I will probably sprinkle in some Tren. I had on here 25 milligrams every other day. That's probably not what I will do. I will do 20 milligrams every day. I do everyday injections for more stable blood levels, so there'd be 140 milligrams of Tren per week. They're going to be the Tren boys that say I'm full of shit. I got absolutely shredded last year. I was a super heavyweight in weight class, so I was 235, 237, something like that on stage. I don't remember exactly, but in the mid 230s, maybe a little bit heavier. I don't know. At my weigh-in, I think it was 235 at my weigh-in, 234.9. I don't know. Somewhere around there. I expect that I'll be a bit heavier this year. Who knows? I kind of had a crappy off season, but maybe around 240, low 240s on stage. We'll see. But I found, like with Tren, I don't need a ton of it. And it's sort of, I've run high doses of Tren before, just so before people get angry and call me a liar. I have run as much as 700 milligrams of Tren before, and I felt absolutely like dog shit on it. I felt awful on running that high of a dose. And then I backed down to 300 before, still did not feel well. My thought process is any anti-catabolic benefits that I'm getting from the Tren, any benefits I am getting from glucocorticoid suppression and the enhanced look with the physique are going to be washed out by not being able to sleep and being wound up all the damn time. That's my problem with Tren is I get horrible insomnia if I take any amount of Tren. I found that 20 milligrams a day, 25 milligrams a day, somewhere around there is perfectly fine for me, and I get probably, I would say 90% of the benefits that I would get physique-wise out of that dose that I would if I just ran it higher. So I would rather lean into higher doses of Masteron and Primobolan and keep the trend lower. Keep toxicity lower. If you look like crap, or if you feel like crap at the end, you're going to look like crap. That's just been my experience, especially as you get older. When you're young, you can get away with more stuff. It's like going out and drinking a bottle of tequila on a Friday night when you're 21. You do that crap when you're 49, you're going to be in the hospital. Fat burners will come into play around 12 weeks out. I run a simple ephedrine, caffeine, yohimbine stack, ECY stack. And usually I start off with just one in the morning, and then I'll switch to twice a day. I do more fasted cardio, and then early afternoon if I take it too late in the day, then I can't sleep at night. And then somewhere around 7-8 weeks out, something like that, we'll start adding in a little bit of clean. So you can see here as we progress along, at week 6, I'm going to lower my testosterone and bump the Masteron up again, just for a physique effect. I kept my testosterone higher last year. I know a lot of people like to drop their testosterone at the end to get more of a dry look. I have found that I actually look fuller and better when I run higher doses of testosterone through my prep. I just do. At somewhere around 7 weeks out, we'll move the anastrozole up to half a milligram every day. At 2 weeks out, the last 2 weeks before the show, I'll push it up to 1 milligram every day. I have tamoxifen in here. Tamoxifan's a catch-22 because it does increase risk of clotting. So that is a concern when you're depleted, dehydrated at the end of prep. But I have just a tiny, even though I've had gyno surgery, I have a tiny bit of gyno on my right side, right pec, and that seems to tighten it up at the end of prep. This is probably unnecessary for 90% of people. I may or may not use it. If I can get away without it, I will not use it. And I'll just have to see how my physique looks at the end. Orals come in at about 6 weeks out. I start off, I have on here either Anavar or Winstrol. I have going more the Anavar route recently. As I've gotten older, Winstrol makes my joints feel horrific. I don't like the way Winstrol makes me feel. It also, for whatever reason, Winstrol absolutely nukes my liver values. Probably worse than Anadrol. I don't know why. I don't know why that is, but Winstrol, Winstrol does not agree with my body. I feel like shit on Winstrol. My joints hurt. I can't train hard. So in my mind, why take it? So I like Anavar. Anavar, I do not feel bad on Anavar. My liver values do not go through the roof. I usually start off with 50 milligrams, and I may taper up to 100. I may not. I may stay at 50. 50 might be fine. I'll just have to see how my physique is shaping up. I use Proviron. I don't know if Proviron is necessary or not. Some people say it is. Some people say it's not. It's another androgen that will help harden you up. And then a little bit of Halo at the end. People think that Halo is for aesthetic reasons. I don't find that it really makes much of a difference aesthetically. What I do find that with Halo, that those last 3 weeks or so when you're trying to get through your workouts that are really hard, you're tired, you're depleted, you're drained, that the Halo really helps you push through those workouts. I get extra neural drive. For me, I know people talk about Halo making them moody. It's the exact opposite for me. I feel euphoric when I take Halo. I feel reinvigorated. My workouts are better. My mood is better when I take Halo. I don't know why that is. With the clenbuterol, usually I'll just slowly taper up to about 100 micrograms. Once again, this is based on how my body responds. If I'm already lean and I'm on track to make it to my stage weight and body composition or running 40 micrograms, then I'll just stay at 40 micrograms. But I max out at 100. That's as high as I go. Metformin, I may or may not add that in as well. I'm not taking any right now. I use metformin purely for appetite suppression. It also seems to help with glycogen retention as well because it suppresses glucagon. I think it's glucagon. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. But it does seem to help with glycogen retention on on prep as well. That's just been my experience. All the injectable compounds get dropped the last week before the show, and then we just run orals up to the day of the show. Coming out of the show, what I'll do, a lot of people just come off everything cold turkey and either go down to TRT or completely come off. And in my opinion, that is absolutely the worst thing to do. You create a hormonal crash. Your metabolism's going to drop. You're just going to. What's going to happen is your estrogen's going to go through the roof. Your metabolism's going to be, and you're just going to get fat. You're going to eat a bunch of crap food. You're going to get fat. So usually, what I do coming out, I push a rebound. I'll keep my food. I'll put my food back basically up to off-season levels of food. I'll keep a moderate amount of gear in, so something like 500 to 750 test in 600, 500 primo, and run that for 6 to 8 weeks, slowly tapering down into a cruise, and slowly tapering down my anti-estrogens and the fat burners. And what that does is you catch a rebound. Then your body is in its most anabolic state. Your gastric emptying is high. Your insulin sensitivity is high. So why not take advantage of that period of time to put on a bunch of new muscle? It's when I've made my best gains. It's when most of my people that I coach make their best gains, is post-cut. So dropping things cold turkey and the whole reverse diet out of a show thing just doesn't make sense to me for most people. There are exceptions. This is not a universal rule, but largely I have found that makes zero sense. That's what I've found. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the formula that I use. And I keep in mind, nothing's set in stone here. We'll see how my body responds. We'll see how my body reacts, and I'll adjust on the fly if necessary. I may use less. I may use more. I know this seems like a lot of gear, but this is what contest prep looks like for a guy that's a national competitor. Some people's heads are going to explode saying it's not much. Some people's heads are going to explode saying it's too much. I've been around this for a while. What I've seen, people I've talked to, this is pretty common. All right, folks, I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Take care.